Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. It's your two favorite dads, Francis and Nate, back on our microphones again. Nate, you're looking a little beat today. You're looking like you've had a rough day. And you know, what is this podcast for other than for us to talk about our rough days and kind of get it all out there? So what's going on, buddy?
Well, I think the long and short of it is that it's currently the school holidays in Geneva, which is like, it's not really like this in America, but in Britain and I think elsewhere in Europe, it's pretty common that, you know, summer vacation is shorter than the American summer vacation, but you also get more like at least 1 or maybe 2 week vacation periods throughout the school year. And typically it's about the halfway point for the semester. So it's kind of like spring break, but you have a fall version as well. So that's going on right now. And my daughter's childcare provider is on a family vacation. So normally she doesn't work Wednesdays because she's got a kid and it's pretty standard in the French speaking part of this country and also in France that kids under like 9 or under 11 don't go to school on Wednesdays. They just don't have school.
Just at all?
They don't have school Wednesdays. Yeah, that's pretty standard. It's not like that in Germany, but when I was a kid in Germany, hours were not friendly to having two parents working at all. Like primary school was in first grade and in third grade, you had Saturday school for 2 hours, but most weekdays were 4 hours a day. So like 8 to 12 and maybe starting a little before 8 on like 1 day a week and maybe starting closer to 9 1 day a week. And then 1 day a week, you'd get out like closer to 1, but it's nothing like the American schedule. Right.
American schedule, it's show up this time and school's done at 2:45 and you're inside of the building during that whole time. The European mindset but just show up and you can leave and you can kind of
it wasn't like that. It was more like in Germany, school started, I want to say at like 8:10 and ended at like 12:10 or 12:15. And 1 day a week we met at 7:45 to do like sports stuff in the morning. And 1 day
to do morning PT.
Yes, basically, yes. As first and second graders, yes. And then one afternoon a week, we didn't get out till 1. But then you also sometimes like not every year you'd have Saturday school, but Saturday school in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, but certainly in Germany, at least back then, was pretty common. It was short, but you had Saturday school. So normal week for me is my daughter is in childcare from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And that involves me taking her out on the tram to where her childcare provider lives. This woman has a kid, and she also does after-school care for a little girl. So that's why she can't keep her longer than 3:30 p.m. because she's got to go pick this girl up. This week, because school's not in session, she was able to watch my daughter till after 6, Monday and Tuesday, which is great. Problem is, in good circumstances, I'm spending like about an hour and a half on public transit total each day getting her to and from because it's about 25 minutes each way, and I do it 4 times a day. Mm-hmm. Because school's out right now, there's a ton of planned works that's been happening on roads, tram lines, bus lines, etc. And then I guess on Tuesday, somebody crashed their car into a train on the French side of the border, but in the regional network of trains in Geneva. So I spent close to 4 hours on public transit on Tuesday getting her to and from childcare. And on top of, I was supposed to have 3 recordings, but I actually didn't make it home in time to record with you.
Right.
And I had a recording I was supposed to guest on, and I had to rearrange the schedule for that to do just the segment and not the full episode because I was like, I don't have time. I'm too tired. I haven't gotten barely any work done. And then anyway, since Wednesday, I'm solo parenting. And yesterday we had the biometrics appointment finally. So we should be getting our residence permits. Tuesday, we finally were able to successfully have a bank account opening because there was some paperwork that no one had told us about that we had to go get, but now that it's done. And then next week we move to our new place. So we actually have a permanent rental. So we're almost done with like the big stuff. But today, my daughter had to get her 12-month immunizations finally. And she's just been kind of she didn't have them until this evening, but like she was just kind of in a state, just kind of on one today in that she slept really late, which was nice. Well, like late for her, it was like 8:30.
Sure.
But basically all day, I could not do anything at all without, like, if I sat down on the couch and put my computer on the coffee table to work, she would come and start mashing the buttons and cry if she couldn't. And if I closed the computer, she would pull it, get mad she couldn't open it, and keep pulling on it until it fell. So I couldn't do that. If I sat at the table, she would come and try to climb on me and grab the computer and get mad she couldn't, and then start trying to push the chair, mad that she couldn't, try to push her high chair, rearrange the furniture, get mad, etc. If I put my computer on the kitchen counter and worked standing up, she would come and start trying to climb on me from the front, back, side, etc. She just kind of, she was having a day where I was sort of like, you know what, I'm not going to get anything done. I just need to sit and play with her and pay attention to her. And the only work that I managed to get done was eventually basically reading every single book she has in English and French with her and playing and stuff. She started kind of getting caught up in something she was doing with one of her toys. And I was able to very surreptitiously take out my phone and respond to some emails.
I should have you do a recording with my wife, because she's the one who has to do all of the single parenting stuff, very, very much like you're having to do. Like, she has to take our daughter to all of her appointments and everything. She's the one that's got to be in the car. She runs all the errands during the day, and then I tell her, like, no, I can't help on lunch because I'm recording a podcast, or I can't help in the morning because I'm recording a podcast. And, thankfully we make money doing this, so it's not just a passion project. But yeah, she has to do all, like, it's the same, like, it's just not easy to be, as you said, a dual income family unless one person's income is flexible. Like, you don't have the corporate 9-to-5 job where you have to clock in and clock out at a certain time. So that makes it easier for you to be more flexible. But at the same time, you have shit to get done. Like, you are a producer. You have multiple podcasts that you work on. It's that you get to, you get to claim the unseen labor part of the relationship.
Shouts out to my helpers, people helping me with stuff. Shouts out to Jack and to Sam and to Tom and to everyone who's doing, because I don't have time right now. I don't have physical time in the day, even if I was the sole editor producer of all the shows. With the amount of content that all the shows put out and the amount of detail and specificity required, I would not have time. I don't have time to do them.
Yeah, our show is at least 7 episodes a month.
Yeah.
And there are usually more than that.
If I were to do that, I would basically have to not be on basically any recordings, and I'd have to work Saturday and Sunday pretty much all day to stay on track if I didn't have help. That's going to change. We should have closer to full-time childcare starting next month. I forgot to tell you that this morning we didn't have hot water in our apartment. And so Cynthia had to take a cold shower after going to the gym. And I was like, this has to get fixed today, because I need to be able to, for one, get clean up, because I have to fly to Belfast tomorrow because there's a Lions live show on Saturday night. And also I have to bathe my daughter. I need hot water. Now it turns out it's fine. They're getting ready to run the boiler for the radiators in the building. And I guess the guy turned that on and somehow managed, I think for some diagnostic thing, turned off the hot water and forgot to turn it back on. So it's been
That'll
fixed.
Happen.
It got fixed fast, but it was just like, I was looking through what can I actually get done? What can I tick off my list? Because I make a list every week, and got my book and my kind of like organizational practice of kind of like making a bullet list of stuff that needs to get done. Sometimes multiple lists for like different categories, like life stuff, work stuff, explicitly production stuff, long-term projects. And I like doing it this way. I write the list with a pen, and then I line through them when they're done. And then once the ink is dried, I also highlight them, that they're like, so I can look on the list, and if there's lines that aren't highlighted and struck through, then I know, okay, that's shit that needs to be. And if it's not, I don't get it done this week, then I circle it, and then it gets moved to the next week's list, and so on and so forth. It's like using
an OODA loop.
No,
using the OODA
loop is like an analytical thing. This is like there's this website that I used to use at my old job, and you make lists of tasks and shit, and I cannot remember what it's called to save my life. And I'm kind of glad to be liberated. It's not Jira. It's not Asana. It's like a cheaper version of that. But it's really funny. I'm going to Google just to see if I can find it.
And for those of you not in the know, the OODA loop is a thing that the military loved to use for a little bit. It's a decision-making thing where you 4 stages: observation, orientation, decision, and action. Part of the MDMP, the military decision-making process.
It was Trello. It was like a Trello.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, like I sort of use my little hardbound notebook like a Trello board, but or Trello is that concept, but on it. I mean, Trello is useful. It's a kind of thing that if people actually use it correctly, it's actually quite useful in my experience. But I have just found that, like this week, I have not really gotten anything done unless like the thing that needed to be done was like writing a quick email. Genuinely.
Do you guys have out there, because of course I can only go by American consumerism, but when my daughter was younger and wanted to get up on the keyboards, we just picked her up a Leap iPad. It's like this little green laptop for kids and babies. It makes cow and lion sounds. It teaches letters and everything. But it's, a thing that they can smash on without bothering you. I don't know if that
I mean, I'm
exists
sure there's an equivalent.
there.
Like, we've bought Fisher-Price stuff here that's in French. So I'm sure that like any kind of major American toy thing, or there'd either be that thing or there'd be an equivalent. I don't know. And I'm sure, let me ask you this question. From when your daughter was a toddler, can you still remember annoying songs from toys that get stuck in your head because she played them endlessly?
Well, we did have a Baby Shark phase, but
I'm hoping we missed that one, and the fact that her primary language in school won't be English, but you never know.
Right. So my daughter has sensitivities to sounds, and it's funny, she will listen to the Squirrel Girl Adventure Hour podcast, which is only 6 episodes that was released back in like 2017. She'll listen to that over and over and over again. But repetitive music, not when she was a toddler. Nowadays, yes, but
my daughter has a children's picture book in French that's sort of like music to sort of evoke the characters of these different animals you see at the zoo. There's like the majestic lion music and the big bass heavy marching music of the elephant and the elegant orchestral music of the swan and so on and so forth. I mean, it's very cute, but it's like my daughter though, some of these sound like movie scores. And I think the kind of like big dramatic ones sound very like Game of Thrones music. And my daughter you can cue, basically you trigger them by pushing this little kind of like soft button, and she's figured this out very quickly. And in one hand, she will start the music on one of those, and then she'll take her Fisher-Price children's TV remote toy, which sings and teaches you the numbers, and we'll start playing songs on that and doing what I call Fisher-Price Girl Talk. If you remember the mashup artist Girl Talk. And so it'll be like, boom, 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 kind of like, and then it'll suddenly just smash in, say, ma télécommande, c'est moi qui décide, j'appuie sur les chiffres, et c'est parti. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's this fucking song. It's saying in French, it's my TV remote. I'm the one who decides. I push the buttons and off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's
your daughter is a prog rocker.
She's doing mashup shit. She's doing like the Avalanches and Girl Talk and Prefuse 73. What's his name? Dan the Automator. She's doing all that, and it's like it's funny, but it's a lot.
Got to get her in front of the synth, man. Get her. She should be an honorary cloghead. Just bring her into the recording studio with the phone.
She's obviously too young to understand certain things. We have played music together, and there are times when she enjoys it. But I think the thing about it is that obviously when we were in London and I had a kind of a working setup at home, to be honest with you, I tried to not really mess with synths at home, hardware synths, because they're, for one, I'm kind of cribbing a line from Vince Clarke and Andy Bell from Erasure, the British synth band that was like mega huge sellers in the 80s and 90s, which is that like they wrote all of their songs on either a piano or acoustic guitar, because synths have so much impossible weird directions you can go that like you start getting fixated on weird sounds and not like what the song actually is.
Right. So you got to have your bass line song before you add all the weird sounds.
Yeah, you have to have a chord progression, and you have to have the hooks and what the vocal top line is going to be and like all that stuff. And I mean, famously Depeche Mode in their kind of peak Martin Gore became the primary songwriter when Vince Clarke quit, and Martin Gore would write songs on either an acoustic guitar or a harmonium, which is kind of like I believe it's like a keyboard instrument. It's kind of like an accordion / kind of pedal instrument, but it's got a almost like church organ-y sound. Like Personal Jesus was written on an acoustic guitar. It didn't have the like swinging sound. It just sounds like a guitar song. And Enjoy the Silence sounds like it's much slower in the original. I think it's in a different key if I remember correctly. And it sounds like church organ music. So that's how they wrote songs. They didn't, all the weird wizardry shit happened in the studio. The reason I'm telling you this is I think the only tactile synth that I have where like the sliders and knobs and stuff makes sense in terms of changing sounds, unfortunately, is so expensive that I wouldn't really want her messing with it. Like I don't want to be like mean or shitty about it, but like,
no, she's a baby, and you don't want a baby smashing your expensive
stuff.
That is your right as a dad.
My friend from home runs a synthesizer company in Seattle. He actually made the OLED displays for this guy. He's I think Ukrainian American dude who lives in Japan, who makes synthesizers, who runs a company called Black Corporation. And this guy, Bob Akbar is his name. Yeah, Bob Akbar. He made this synthesizer that's like a hardware clone of Roland Jupiter 8, which it was an 80s synthesizer, is really cool, but if you were to buy one now, would cost you $40,000 because there's not that many of them left. And now that people are like, oh, these are cool, I want one. You know, you probably could have bought one for like $500 in the 2000s, but now people want them again. And they're huge and they're clunky and they're 40 years old. So like, I'm not going to, so this guy, I know, because I know Scott and I know Bob through Scott, I pre-ordered one and got it very, very cheap, relatively speaking, like basically at cost or like close to at cost from the manufacturer. So I didn't spend that much. If I were to buy it new in a store in London, because it's a small number of them got made, it would cost me about 4,500 pounds. So it's not really a thing that I would want to be like now for almost 14 months old, but soon to be 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old child, fuck around with this thing. Like, it's just kind of not really suited to it. And the other ones, I don't own that many hardware synths. The other ones that I have are either like way too annoying to change the parameters. Like it's not annoying to me, but it would be to a kid, or it's my only actual vintage synth that I own, which is a Roland Juno 6, and it's older than me and very fragile. And I really don't want a child. It's just not appropriate. You know what I mean? Like, the
first instrument that we got our daughter was a $35 accordion, because she made this. She's like, yeah, I think I want to get an accordion. And she played with it a little bit. We also picked up a keyboard, like a really nice keyboard at Savers years ago for like $60, I think, in the box and everything. It was used, but still in really great condition. Yeah. And we have all that stuff. We got rid of the accordion because she wasn't interested in it. I don't really think that she has an affinity for music. Like, I don't think that her like in that particular way. Like, she does Irish dance, so she does something that is artistic and musical in some way, but more of a choreography thing than a creation thing at the moment. But also, she's 9. Yeah. Like, Lord knows. I mean, she might pick something up at 15 and decide to run. I mean,
I'll be honest with you, like, all the creative stuff that I do now these days, in terms of my own creative work, has shifted to music from writing. And I think I've got some ability in both, but the music stuff started after we started this podcast. Like, when we started this podcast, I didn't own a single musical instrument. I hadn't played music since college. I didn't have anything that you could play music. I didn't have a piano, even like a mini keyboard, a guitar, anything. All of that's happened now has happened as a result of, starting doing the work because of TF and then the Clogheads, and then also taking lessons in London and just learning more about it. And I have a guitar here now. I bought one. I haven't had any time to practice lately, but it makes more sense to have a guitar. I played guitar in high school, and it just makes it's far easier to have it, to play it, versus a piano right now, or even like a digital piano. Like, I sold my old, I gave it to a charity that sells it, and they keep the money and stuff for like, it's the British Heart Foundation. Like, they sell old furniture and old electronics, and then like that money goes towards researching like heart disease and stuff. Because I had a stage piano, and it was great, but I mean, it was old and beat up, and it had been gigged with a lot, and also it had some things about it that were annoying. Like, the firmware, just something was glitching, it wouldn't update. It's not really appropriate for a kid to learn on in a lot of ways. Like, it kind of, because it has weighted keys like a piano would. But I'm thinking that we're gonna have to assess how much free space we have in the new place once we have everything that we need, and if we have room for it. The brand was Kawai, Kawai. It's a Japanese piano company, and they make their stage pianos,
really cute pianos,
not with 2 eyes. Kawaii, like that, is 2 eyes. That's this brand is so old, it probably predates anime as a concept. Like, it's probably like late.
Don't ask too many questions about their outputs in 1939. Gotcha.
Well, I mean, let's be perfectly honest here. Like, there's hardly a European or American instrument manufacturer that doesn't have at least some bill of sale to some unsavory ass person from that era. But
selling Zildjian symbols to ISIS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Recep Tayyip Erdogan's favorite band only plays Zildjian symbols. You know what I mean? Yeah, Steinway and Sons, like they gave pianos for free for like, making the soundtrack to fucking Birth of a Nation or something like that. I don't know. Please don't sue me. I don't know if that's true or not. I like Kawai stuff. They make digital pianos and stage pianos with wooden keys that have, because of the length and weight of them, it feels like the weight action of an actual piano. Sure. Whereas most keyboards don't. And
it's like mechanical keyboard but for music.
It's like a real piano, except it's you're pushing the keys, and then it's sending a signal to a thing that's then registering a tone. Like, basically it's generating a sound from a recording of that pitch of whatever it's going to play. So, Kawai makes home digital pianos that are lower profile than what I had and aren't meant to be gigged with and can be set up in a way where like, you know, you could sit a kid down and they could take lessons. And so but also they'd have at least one MIDI output, which I could then use to hook into the computer to compose stuff with, which is what I need. And so I do want to get one. I'm hoping to get one, depending on the space in our new place, which I haven't actually been in the new place yet. Cynthia did the tour. I saw what I think was like an identical unit in the complex that was already rented, but I'm going to see it next Thursday. So a week from today, I'm going to see it. And I'll see if we have room. I hope we do, because I really do like playing the piano a lot, but you know.
She's going to crawl up on that too. Look, I will tell you, wait for her to be able to vocalize what she wants before you start buying musical instruments for her. Because otherwise you end up with an accordion. With an accordion.
I mean,
well, actually, she said she wanted the accordion, and we found one for $35.
Yeah,
but that was also when she was 3.
I mean, to be honest with you, dude, I want a piano for myself. I play.
Sure.
I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to learn more. I use it for composition. The reason why I wanted to get this was because I think that if she does, I'm not going to be like my parents and be like, you must at age 5 start piano, and the only way to learn music is through classical training, because like that didn't work for me. Mm-hmm. And where I am now in music is solely because I happen to have a neighbor who was a jazz and R&B piano instructor who wasn't bothered by the fact that I wasn't really interested in sight reading stuff, and instead worked on like composition, music theory stuff, and like exercises based around that. And then I finally made the connections, and now, you know, I'm able to do what I do. And what I do isn't that impressive, but like I've had things happen where I've worked with people before, and people have made comments like, yeah, I'm not as sharp on music theory as you are. And my response is, do you know who you're talking to? I don't know shit. There are 4-year-olds who can sight read music better than me. Like I can read music, but like I don't practice it very much, so I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, but you've got the strengths and weaknesses in other places though. Like all of my artistic stuff moved away from writing as well, and now it's just, you know, making stuff like in my basement with my Cricut and my paints and all of the signs and stuff that I pick up. But there are like I see what a lot of people are doing, and I'm like, there's absolutely no way that I can do a lot of this shit. But at least my stuff is funny and applies to a very niche culture that finds it funny and will buy my stuff. And that's about what I rotate around, because I've always like I want to do more with drawing and painting and getting a better idea of like, you know, color theory and how all these things work together. And I know I can. I know that there's a million YouTube videos out there, that there's lots of people out there who will, you know, teach me these things, or I can learn them. But as like you were saying, it comes down to, where do I have time to fit this in? You know, where is the hour a day or an hour a week that I can devote to this? And sometimes it just kind of goes out the window, and you learn what you learn on, you know, just in the workshop, you know, just trying new things out and trying to figure it out. I just started adding LED lights to stuff, something I've never done before. I ordered a pack of LEDs, sort of drilling holes, running wires and stuff on some of my art pieces, and it's coming out really good. But I'm not watching anything. I just know how a circuit works, and you know, it's like I think some red lights would look really cool on this like creepy sign that I'm making. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've told this before, but I found it interesting that when Amber Mathick was doing her podcast Unauthorized Absence back in 2018, I was helping produce it for her, and I did a theme song for it, and I didn't know how to do anything in Ableton at all. And so the best I could do was come up with a tone in Operator, which is the Ableton sort of like, it's not meant to be like an analog synth, but it's just sort of like you can set up different oscillators to make kind of a synthesizer tone that sounded kind of like a sonar ping. And I did like four tones in a row that kind of sounded like a musical theme, sort of like music that might be in like a TV show or some shit, or like a radio ad. And that was enough that it was plausible as sort of theme song, and she was happy with it. I was like, thank God she's happy with it. This is the absolute limit of what I know how to do in Ableton. Now I use Ableton for everything now. All of my compositions are in Ableton. I mean, I should probably get better at Logic and Pro Tools, but I just, Ableton's what I'm most familiar with. But it's crazy because like when I moved to the UK, I had the basic, most elementary Ableton license. I think it was like 75 euros for a lifetime license of this very basic version of the software. And I knew nothing about how to do it. I managed to make that work with a couple of hours of tinkering. And now I don't know, like, I'm not like, you know, I'm going to teach a seminar on it, but like, I know how to use Ableton a lot. Like I know how to do a lot of different things in it that would have seemed like if I go back and I watch the video that the guy did in like 2012 of like, he recreates the Prodigy song, Smack My Bitch Up, basically from first principles. Like he figures out the samples and then also does a bunch of different effects and sort of like recreates it as close as possible. And it was fascinating to watch. It was this Russian guy. That seemed like he had, sold his soul to the devil to get dark magic level of ability.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying I could do all of that now, but like everything he's doing in that video makes sense to me now in terms of like, oh, I know what thing he's doing in Ableton to get this, as opposed to back then, I would not have grasped it at all. So that's progress.
You know what podcast needs a theme song?
This one? Do you want a new one?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, we're not really Hell of a Way to Die anymore, so we can't, we should probably stop using the, I don't even know if that's licensed under Creative Commons. Like, I'm not even sure if we could be using that one, but.
I mean, I think it would be funny to keep the same melody, but just redo it in a way that's, what are you going to do? Have it on a kazoo or something? Like kids instruments, toy instruments?
Maybe start teaching my daughter the recorder.
I mean, my daughter has the little baby Einstein, the like touch piano thing, which is cool.
It sounds like she's already jamming out with the phone. I don't know if we can get some tones there.
With the TV remote, the fake TV remote. Oh. Yeah. I mean, with the phone, she takes the phone and does like fucking just absolute outsider art movies. Like she takes the phone and she'll do the most insane close-up slow-mos, or like she'll do like the panoramas that create like a blob with eyes. Just like She also loves changing my background on my phone, creating new ones. Cynthia said she created a background on her phone where it was a photo of me but zoomed in so much I was cropped out of it.
We got to send her the pixelated Nate
She
picture.
makes backgrounds, like background of my phone with herself. Like she did one that was a cutout of herself, with like blue, black, white, tritone kind of thing. She also changed it to like what I can only describe as sort of like kind of glowing neon light looking kind of like what looks like a simulated, how you can do this. My friend is like kind of an expert on this, the like using an LED and moving it in like a slow frame rate to kind of create this effect of like glowing trails in the dark. It looks like that, but it's obviously generated from the computer in trans pride colors, spelling out pride. And she changed my phone background to that. And I was like, cool, thanks. But like, I absolutely support trans rights and trans pride. But that's an interesting one for you to pick, because there's a running joke with me and my trans guy friends that I'm the world's only cis guy trans guy, because every photo of me before I grew facial hair, they always make jokes like that's just a pre-T trans guy. And so I'm basically getting dunked on by my 14-month-old daughter. Like, I'm not joking. I got my phone and I'm like, wait, that's not the background I had. And she had changed it to a trans pride background, which is hilarious to me. And then she loves making weird. I was doing a thing yesterday where she and I were filming a video that I sent to my mom, and she got a hold of the phone and then tapped the screen to change the focus to like the site of buildings and stuff in Geneva behind us, which meant it then adjusted the aperture to the light for that, which meant that we were suddenly just like black silhouettes, like you were filming a thing where like you're interviewing IRA sources. Like, she just has this kind of mad genius logic with...
That's actually pretty impressive. Like, my daughter does the same. My daughter's 9, and she has her own phone, which is an old Pixel that we gave her, and she does all this. But, like, at 14 months, to take a picture and then to go into the settings and change the background...
She didn't do that. It was, we were filming a video, and she was touching the screen, and she touched...
Sure, but the trans pride
that was surely a stock image that she's not doing it like consciously. I think what she's doing is she's scrolling, and she likes scrolling and seeing the motion of things. And so what'll happen is she gets the phone and I lock the screen, but she can push down on it, which then kind of pulls into the menu of, do you want to change your background? And then she starts scrolling through everything at random, and she just pushes on either what she likes or just pushes on whatever. And whatever it winds up is what you get. But like, she'll scroll and click into menus without knowing what it is and just keep going and going and going. And then you get it back and you're like, wait, what the hell did you do? What? I also, today, my phone, similarly, she grabbed my phone and Safari was on what I would describe as like a weird, insane, bad English AI generated art website about how to interpret your dreams. And I was just like, what did you do? Yeah, like I
was getting chased by a giant diaper, Dad. I need to figure out what this means.
Yeah. I got told that there was no more Gruyere cheese for me to have. She loved, oh my God, she loves Gruyere cheese so much. It's so funny. Like, she's so bougie now because like you can buy good. I mean, it is one of the cheeses they make here. So, you just can buy it in any grocery store. And I will buy Gruyere and cube it up and stuff. And we started doing that to make salads with. And then we let her have a little, and she became a Gruyere addict.
Obsessed.
Yeah, and so now
get her a baguette and a little bottle of grape juice, and she can really live on that French side of Geneva.
I mean, Cynthia doesn't really like baguettes. So what we buy is, for the real Swiss bread heads, we buy either Zop, if you're familiar with it. It's like challah, but it's not sweet or anything. It's just basically like a braided white bread loaf, kind of I think it's something like butter bread kind of thing. And then, or we buy basically what they call Ticino bread, like Ticino is the Italian part of Switzerland, which is a very small part of the country. And it's cool. It's like white bread. It's like really kind of like the consistency of like hamburger, not potato bun, but like the kind of like fluffy white bread, kind of like a hamburger bun, but it's in segments, kind of like a ribbed carapace. And so it breaks off really easy, and you can break off like a whole big slice of it, or you can break off one of the two segments of a slice. And so what we'll do often is, as part of her meals, we'll get one of those like segments and tear it up and stuff, and then or give it to her and let her tear it up. Man, babies love tearing things up. They love tearing stuff up.
They love tearing stuff up, and they love testing gravity. And they see if I hold this out and if I let go, what happens?
It's so funny,
drops.
Isn't it? Like the kind of mic drop sort of. It's comical, but even though it's annoying, it's very comical when they'll do it and they'll just hold it out vertically and let it go. Like, what's going to happen? She's done this so getting her to wear a hat or getting her to wear sunglasses, even if she's annoyed by the sun or the cold or the sun in her eyes, is a challenge. And I think this is a challenge for any baby.
For but yeah, if you have a kid that likes wearing hats, you are the aberration.
My daughter will wear like a beanie now when it's cold, and as soon as we get like in the tram or indoors, as I'm getting her outdoor clothes off, she immediately pulls it off and drops it on the floor. I remember trying to get her to wear a hat just because of the angle, even with the hood on the stroller, I couldn't get it to completely block the sun out of her eyes when we would be walking to nursery in London. And one day I was like, okay, I fitted it in a way it's not too tight, I think it'll be happy. And we got about 5 steps as we were walking down the street, and then I see this tiny little arm reach out and just comically like mic drop it onto the ground. She also loves playing with my watch. I have a Garmin watch, and she actually did that comical dropping of it on the tram once. So I had to like get up from my seat and go and find it. And it's just, no more watch on the tram, baby girl. It's not how it works. Although one time the band is starting to separate. I need to get a new one. It fell off when I was carrying the stroller up the step into our building, and she caught it as it fell.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know if it fell into the stroller and landed in the stroller and she caught it, but all I saw was I realized it had fallen, and then she was holding it in her hand. And I was like, did you just do some fucking Matrix baby shit? Or
yeah, she got that spider sense.
I have the spider sense for her about to fall. Yeah, exactly. I've got dad nose and I've got dad sense. Like, it's crazy. Like, this happened to me one time where like I was watching her, and Cynthia asked me a question, and I saw at the corner of my eye that our daughter had let go and was falling, and just instinctively, not even telling myself to do it, just reached out and kind of caught the side of her head so she didn't bump it as she was kind of not falling, but kind of like when babies decide they're gonna sit, and by sit they just crumple. Yeah, and it's crazy. And also, dad knows. Ugh. It's good, but it's also bad. Did you get dad nose?
What is dad like when you start smelling all the weird things that your baby outputs?
It's like you have a heightened sensitivity to stuff, and so anytime that she pees or poops, I feel as though I immediately notice it, like in a way that I wouldn't have before, but that heightened sense of smell is still there. So for example, on the street smelling dog piss or trash or dog poop, it's not as bad here because, I mean, frankly, Geneva is a much cleaner city than London, but I still notice it. But in London, dude, with also the Brits and the bins and stuff, and the bins only getting like trash bins only getting emptied every 2 weeks. In the summer, it was like, it wasn't quite New York level of hot garbage smell, but it was pretty bad. And I don't think it was any worse in 2024 than it was any other year. But first real dog days of summer since my daughter was born, and I was anywhere I went, I could smell hot garbage, trash.
You probably also have the parent hearing, where even though I know at my age and spending as much time in the army and the tinnitus that I have, my hearing is not great. However, if there are sounds that I shouldn't be hearing, or if there are sounds that I should be hearing and I'm not hearing them, those are ones that like pop right out. Like, when your kid, when you're sitting there and you're working and your kid's suddenly quiet and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like when she got a hold of the Kleenex box.
Oh, yeah.
You have that. Or, at 5 o'clock in the morning because my daughter has been having some insomnia lately. So she's either up late or up early, sometimes both. And so when she wakes up at 4:30 in the morning, I immediately hear her. And I've got a large dog that makes a lot of noise when she moves around. I've got 3 cats that always run around. But I know when my daughter is up. It's just you hear a door click, or you hear footsteps that are not the dog. And then you're just awake. Like, what are you doing? doing? Why are you awake? What are you? And it had like, dead asleep. And then your brain just gets tuned into, what are you doing? Why are you out of bed? You're 9. Go back to bed. It's 5. I don't even want to be up right now.
Yeah, I would say for me, the sound thing is interesting because sometimes I hear her, like I told Cynthia, like, you don't need to worry about opening the door to the bedroom because I'll be sleeping in the other room if, like I'm trying to get some sleep. Because I find that I hear her so well in the room with the travel cot that on nights when I have to stay up and work, I'll sleep in the other room because I don't want to wake either of them up when I get in bed. And also my daughter makes noise in her sleep, like most babies do. And I hear it better now. And so on those mornings when Cynthia was getting up to go to the gym, she would leave this door in this room open so I could hear the baby. And I told him, I was like, you don't really need to do that, honestly. I will absolutely hear it. Windows are closed. Doesn't matter. I'll hear it through the wall. Like I hear other babies and think they're my daughter. Like I hear kids crying on the street. I remember one time
you hear at a certain point in time, you're going to hear a kid that sounds remarkably like your kid yell dad. And you're going to you won't even be around your kid. Like your kid will be somewhere else.
This is what I mean.
You'll hear,
I've had it happen where she's at childcare and I hear a baby crying out on the street or something when the window's open or like one of the neighbors. And like, I'm like, shit, fuck, where's, and I have to tell my, like, wait, like you don't need to be listening for her. She's with someone who's caring for her.
Right.
Like it's fine.
Your baby didn't escape.
No,
it's fine.
And similarly, like, when she gets really quiet, it's like when she gets really quiet and she's not, because, she babbles and she talks and she's happy babbling and frustrated babbling. And recently, it's the other day this happened where the room where the travel cot is, suddenly she was really quiet. And I was like, hey, what's going on? And I go in that, because normally she goes in that room, she just wants to play with the power cords. And I'm like, yep, go for the most dangerous thing like all babies do. I was like, what's going on? She'd found a pack of baby wipes. And she'd only gotten one of them out, but it would have been 200 baby wipes on the floor. It would have been a baby wipe pyramid if I had let her do it. Because when she's that quiet, it's like, you've found a thing, because it's really funny. She's so young to be doing this. I'm sure your daughter has done this, but I didn't expect them to do this. When she thinks she's getting away with touching something she knows she's not supposed to touch. And it's kind of amazing that even at that young age, she knows, like, a coffee mug left on the coffee table. Like, that's not for babies. We don't let her touch it when we're around, or my computer, or something in the room like a pen, which I'm normally really good about not leaving anything that babies shouldn't have. But if she's got something and I say, and she thinks she's getting to play with it and mess around with it, and I say, hey, what are you doing? You can see her like startle jump, like, and she's just so little. It's like, it's comical how much of like kind of like little baby startling it is, because she's like, I've been caught. Like and it's just like, somehow you're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, they absolutely know. And it is, because as you said, you say no, don't grab the coffee cup. It's heavy. Drop it, it'll break. It might be full of hot liquid.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave it out on the table if it had hot liquid, like for her. But if it's empty, sometimes it'll be there, and oftentimes it's like, oh, I had to go deal with something. She knocked something over. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And this happened. I was like, I heard a little scraping, and I'm like, hey, you're not supposed to do that. And when I said that, she did a little startle jump because she was like, oh no, I've been spotted. And it's just like,
I've been caught.
It's like when dogs make that face, then when they've done something bad, like they're the least guilt hidingest creatures on the planet, except for babies, I guess. But I didn't know that babies would like know, like at the age that she is, that they were perceptive enough to know, like to kind of have because you think of it more of like they don't know any better. That's just a thing that's left out. They're going to do it, which is true. But it's weird because she wouldn't react like that if she was just playing with her. Like, but when the thing is she knows she's not supposed to have. That's the funny thing.
Yeah. I can't remember if my daughter was doing that at that age, but I do remember that being something that, you walk in and she'd have something and she's like, what are you doing? And she's like, ooh, just give that like, and then like put it down and be like, I don't know, that pen was there. I was just sitting here and a pen appeared. I don't know what you're talking about, Dad.
In Europe, this is pretty common. Our house in Britain was kind of an aberration in the sense that it's pretty common to have your washing machine in the kitchen. Like, you have like your very European style washer of like the clear window, front loader washer. And this apartment has the washing machine in the kitchen. Our new place I believe it actually has a closet for the washer and dryer, which is amazing. If not, it's in one of the bathrooms, but it's amazing. Sure. And the previous tenants had a dryer. They're taking it with them, but like a dryer hookup is already there. So amazing. There's a fucking electronics store downstairs that sells home goods like dryers, literally downstairs, like one of the closest stores in the mall on the ground floor of this complex to our door. I am just going to go there and buy a fucking dryer. It's incredible. But I'm bringing up the washing machine because it's one of the things she loves to do, but she loves to mash the buttons, and she knows she's not supposed to, because like if it's off, it's not a big deal. deal. But if it's on, like she might restart something or pause it. And like European washers and dryers are better than the stupid reputation that, you know, people who did fucking study abroad here 30 years ago think. However, the reputation of British washing machines, or rather European washing machines taking forever to wash clothes are true. In Britain, it's pretty standard for a washing machine to have like a daily wash cycle that's like 59 minutes. Which is, I think, long-ish by American standards.
It's so our washing. We actually just had to replace our washing machine because our last one finally bit the dust. But it is a the new washing machine. When you start it out, it says 59 minutes, but after it does, it's like we're gonna gauge how much clothes and how much, and then it'll drop down and be like, all right, 29 minutes. You'll have this done.
So we have a Bosch washing machine in here, and Bosch makes a like silent dish, like quieter version. Literally their Swiss version, because it's like everyone complains about noise otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And the fastest like 40 degrees Celsius cycle, which is like a warm wash, is 2 hours and 59 minutes. And
Jesus.
The 20 Celsius cycle, which is like a cold wash or like tap water temperature wash, is I think it's like a 159 or 212. You can do a
Europeans do anything fast just once, please.
You can do fast washes. Shit doesn't. It's meant for stuff like silks and hand washes, and it doesn't really get like anything that's really dirty won't get clean. But that I will tell you this: that long cycle cleans the hell out of your clothes. But I bring it up because like if she messes up the cycle and pauses it or restarts it, it's like shit. This thing's gonna be running till like midnight. You know what I mean? Like maybe not that late, but it's gonna. So she knows she's not supposed to do that, and man, she loves to just go crawl over and then pull herself up and stand up and just mash. But once again, like she's a DJ mashing buttons and turning dials, except it's the washing machine.
Yeah, I did notice on our new washing machine, because our last one was a top loader, and so all of the controls were kind of up on the top, but this one's a front loader, so all of them are on the front, and it does have a hold these two buttons down for child lock so that you can start it and the kid doesn't come and fuck it up.
I don't know how to child lock this one, and one of the problems is in German. And while I do speak German, I don't speak German as well as French, and like I just don't know. So I am gonna figure it out when we get to our new place starting next weekend. I have to go do this Lions live show, make it back from Northern Ireland successfully, and then go get the keys. Literally, I've paid the first month's rent. I've got the deposit. I've handled all because you have a lot of required insurance for household stuff in Switzerland. And the last thing I have to do is literally print out a memo explaining how I want the nameplate on our mailbox to read and meet the superintendent at 9 a.m. on Thursday next week. And then I get the keys.
You're a real Swiss boy now.
Brother, I don't have regular access to the mailbox in our current place, because the person we're subleasing from has the key. And I saw a letter with the letterhead or the emblem of the Office of Cantonal Population Manager, Migration and Population, which would be like a thing that's important for us for our visas. And I went upstairs and I got a fucking fondue fork and I got it and fished it out. And it was information related to our fucking permits. So like, give me a Swiss passport. I've naturalized, all right? Although in fairness, in the German speaking part,
I've already learned how to steal mail. I'm ready to go.
Well, it's my mail. It's to me. It's just, I don't have the key to the goddamn thing. I asked my Swiss friend this, and he was like, the French speaking part of Switzerland is probably more likely than not people, if they see you doing that, because it does look shady, would be like, it's his mailbox, it's his problem. Whereas in the German speaking part, it's like, call the cops, all the cops, every cop now. So but the fact that the only way to retrieve this thing and solve the problem involved the fondue fork just seemed so perfect.
Yeah, stick it into your Gruyere cheese. And
I had my biometrics appointment where they take your photo and scan your fingerprints, and my permit apparently has already been printed, has been mailed, so I'm not going to get it in time before I go, but I should get it next week. And our Cynthia and our daughters had theirs done yesterday. Very interesting getting a baby to pose for biometric photos. Eventually they had to give up and put her on like the baby thing where it's a photo taken from above.
When we did our daughter's passport, when she was under 1, I had to sit her on my head to get her to sit still. Like it was my wife took a picture of our daughter sitting on, like, holding on to her with the green screen in the back, because they're like, well, I mean, she can't be in a chair. You have to have this, background to it. So we have to find a way to get her to sit up and stay still, and sitting on my head.
We tried. We had a chair. We turned it around and had her stand on it. And it was just getting her to look at the camera long enough, because it's not just a photo. It's also that the photo has to take the picture at a certain position so it can get all like the biometric shit where it like is like looking at like the shape of your face and stuff. But she's got hers. Cynthia's got hers. I'm going to have mine, and finally have Swiss bank accounts to buy groceries with. And we're going to have our own place. So yes, like we're almost done with the kind of transitional getting settled period. And I got to be real with you, dude. This hour that I've just spent, or 52 minutes and 27 seconds that I've been spending recording with you, is the first time today that I've really been able to sit in the room and not be like baby doing things, pinging around. It's been tough.
Yeah. It gets better. It does get better. I promise. Once you teach them how to use the bathroom on their own, you start getting little increments of time back. But unfortunately, Nate, I gotta cut this one. I gotta cut it short here because I gotta get on to my other job here.
Go do your job. Yeah, dude. Because it's 7 hours behind and it's still the work day. So
yep, it's 1 p.m. for me. So I gotta get back to sending my emails for way too much money. Nate, thank you so much. Great to have you on and talking some dad stuff. Hopefully you got a little bit of a break here.
I will be honest with you, dude. I used to make fun of you about the pod shack not having air conditioning, but you have your own workspace that's not in your house with kid running around all over the place. And I'm like, man, I wish I had a fucking pod shack right now. Like,
yeah, it's fucking beautiful, man. And we're looking at getting the basement refinished. And my wife's like, well, once we get the basement refinished, then we can, get rid of the pod shack and we can build. I'm like, hold on with my backyard shed that let's not get rid of the goon cave just because I've got a workspace.
I don't know if it's going to get accepted because I'm a very non-standard candidate, but I did put it in an application this week for an office space that's like maybe 10 minutes walk from our new place. That would actually be perfect for me. We'll see if they take it, but hopefully, fingers crossed. But eventually I will get my own office. It's just for the time being, full-time childcare most of the time. And it's an experience. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, I think all the parents who have done this, they know the sound of my voice. They know what this means. And yeah, it's just like that. So yeah. Anyway, pleasure once again, Francis. I hope you have a good one.
Yeah, everybody, remember, you can get more bonus content on our Patreon, patreon.com/hellofaWayToDie. Nate and I are both fathers of daughters, so we need money at all times, always, because everything is expensive always. So there's that. I'm actually just releasing an episode with November Kelly, where I got her to watch Deadliest Warrior with me, Shaka Zulu versus William Wallace. So that is up there, $5 a month, 8 years of content that you will get access to. Also, check out the store, whatahellofawaytodad.com. New stuff always being added every week. Nate, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one.